Well, I would like to turn on to young people.
Yeah.
Because, well, I definitely have not lived through something like this when I was 18, 19, or 22 and just graduated from college. So pretty much this is what they're facing. Jobs being lost, the economy destroyed, so no prospect of employment.
Yes.
Being locked in your own room, not being able to meet with friends or participate in activities that you like, unless you like playing computer games, and then that's not affecting you very much. You see protests, riots, looting, and you are being warned that 12 years from now, the world will end due to global warming. So what is your message to
young people
young
in these
people?
cases? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. My first message is turn off the television and the internet. There's a great line in Aristotle. He says, only a madman deliberates about things outside of his control. Live your life according to what you can do. You know, go back to that whole natural law thing. What are the goods you can do with your life? Here and now, what is actually in your power to do? What is in your power to choose, right? And do those things. Don't listen to the television. Don't listen to the internet. Don't, let all the fear-mongering kind of penetrate your way of thinking. I've seen so many young people literally paralyzed with fear. And so what happens with that paralysis? They do not strive to do any of the goods that they could do where they are, when they are. Instead, what they do, they're constantly anxious about evils that are not even affecting them and goods they are incapable of doing anything about, right? So what people need to do is stop thinking in terms of, all these problems in the world and start thinking about the problems inside of each one of them. And what can I do about my problems here and now?
One last question, Father.
Yes.
There are many people that have lost their jobs, their businesses. They were 30, 40 years, 20 years. It does not matter. They put a lot of effort into having a thriving business, and they lost everything. And so now they can't make their house payments, they can't feed their family, they can't make their car payments. They're about to lose everything. What is your advice to those people?
Well, I guess from a spiritual and religious perspective, I remind them of the words of the Lord, seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you. Whatever they've lost materially, the most important goods in their life are still available to them. That is, their relationships with their loved ones, and in particular, the relationship with God. So that's the first thing. Don't seek for happiness in financial success or something like that. If you seek for happiness in financial success, then what's going to happen is that you're going to be inevitably disappointed. That being said, don't give up. Don't give up. In other words, start over if you can. Do what you can to build things back up again. And don't be discouraged, right? The history of mankind is filled with setbacks and failures and setbacks and failures. And the only way we get over any tragedy is by people not giving up and just saying, okay, fine, my house burned down, I'll start building a new one, And so I guess I would say, don't let discouragement or despair determine or govern your actions. Finally, when it comes down to it, seek within your relationship with God and the beautiful relationships within your own family members and your friends. Find strength there to go forward and not worry about what you can't control. Just do what you can, and I think what happens eventually is we'll get back to where we were before. So.
I understand. One last thing.
Yes.
People are unemployed, and summer vacation is coming.
Yes.
Do you by any chance have a book, or more than one book, that you can recommend for reading during this time?
Yeah, so you wrote there on the board that this is a book I wrote. This is particularly with regard to marriage and family issues, right? Right relationships between your family, right relationships in your marriage, and so forth. And again, like I said, those human relationships are extremely important for human flourishing. And that book is a lot of advice, not only at the level of the natural law, but also of revelation, what's found in the scriptures and teaching of the church about how you can have a flourishing and happy family life. And that right away is going to contribute a lot to your happiness and the things that are most important for life. Most importantly, I guess I would say, sit down with the Gospels, read the Gospels, and see that God became man and He died for us. And look, if we only have perspective and we recognize all of us are going to die, the question is just how, right? You can die of a virus, you can die of a car crash, you can die of old age. All of us are going to die. The question is, do you believe, do you have faith in the resurrection? If God became man and He rose again to show us that there's another life after this life in which we can find happiness, true and lasting happiness, which could never be found in principle in this life, then having that anchor of hope in the next life is really what gives people enough perspective to deal with the tragedies of this life in such a way that they're not overcome with despair or discouragement. The tragedies of this life are like water off a duck's back for someone who has a really strong faith and a strong hope. So, of course, read the Gospels more than anything. I think that's the best antidote for what ails us today.
Thank you, Father. I appreciate your time. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely, sure. My pleasure. Thank you, Marcel.